This one is called, If You See an Ad for Dream Body, Ignore It. I've been meaning to start working out for a while now, but never got around to it due to having a busy schedule and being lazy. I'd set my alarm up earlier before work to do some cardio, but would always end up snoozing it. Then, one day, as I wasted my time browsing Facebook, I saw an ad which immediately caught my eye. Never miss another workout with our tool! Curious, I clicked on it, and it took me to a website which sold a wrist gadget called Dream Body. It was essentially a wristband which you connect to your phone via Bluetooth, and it gives you daily reminders about your training and weight goals, caloric intake, etc. It cost only $59.99, so I ordered it immediately, not even caring if I was going to get scammed. A few days later, the gadget arrived, and I wasted no time setting it up. I downloaded the app for Dream Body and connected it to the device. After putting it on my wrist, from there, I customized my plan. I input my age, weight, and the goal of losing 10 pounds. The app asked me in how much time I'd like to achieve that goal, and I said 1 month. A message in red letters popped up on my screen. Warning! The weight loss goal deadline you input is higher than the recommended goal by Dream Body. Would you like to proceed? I shrugged and clicked yes. From there, it told me how many calories a day I should take and how many times I should work out a week. I set the daily workout alarm for 6 a.m. 3 times a week. Being as hyped as I was, I went running the very same day, mostly just to test out the app. After 20 minutes of running, another message popped up. You are 1 step closer to your goal. Total training time, 15 minutes. Calories burned, 150. Happy with my first day of using the app, I returned home and made a healthy meal. I watched some TV after. When it was midnight, I got another notification. Your physical activity indicates you are not asleep. If you go to bed now, you can get approximately 7 hours, 12 minutes of sleep before your next training session. I realized it was probably time to go to bed, so I turned off the TV and fell asleep almost instantly. I was woken in the morning by a vibration on my wrist and on my table. The wristwatch and my cell phone were vibrating. I drowsily checked my phone and saw an annoying notification. It's time for your workout! Below I had the option to turn off or snooze the alarm. I lazily snoozed it and put my phone back on the table, closing my eyes. Another incessant vibration ensued, forcing me to grab my phone again. Warning! Skipping your training puts you at risk of not reaching your weight loss goal within the requested time. There was no question to remove the notification, so I just dropped the phone and closed my eyes again. A few seconds later, an excruciatingly painful electrical shock surged through my entire body, jolting me wide awake. Ah! What the fuck? I screamed. I glanced down at my phone, which had a big message in red letters over the screen. Begin your training. Next shock in 3 minutes, 24 seconds. The timer was counting down. I tried to remove the pop-up, but it seemed as if my phone was frozen. I restarted it, but the message was still there. I pulled down the drop menu and turned off my Bluetooth, but to no avail. The timer was still running. Next shock in 1 minute, 15 seconds. I tried to get the wristband off, but it wouldn't budge, no matter how hard I yanked it. Next shock in 23 seconds. Come on, you piece of shit! I yanked harder and harder, making my wrist hurt, but it wouldn't come off. Next shock in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another wave of electricity shocked my entire body, this one even longer and more painful than the last one. When I recovered from the pain, I glanced at my phone again. Begin your training. Next shock in 4 minutes, 49 seconds. I jumped out of bed and started running around the house, picking up clothes to put on along the way. The message on the screen changed now and said, maintain heart rate of 140 beats per minute. Current, 110 beats per minute. Next shock in 2 minutes, 18 seconds. I quickly put on my clothes and shoes and ran outside the house, practically sprinting on the sidewalk. The message changed in addition to my heart rate displaying the elapsed time and burned calories. My lungs and legs were burning, but I continued jogging for 20 minutes, until a notification sounded on my phone. Training complete. Total time, 20 minutes. Calories burned, 253. Make sure to drink water and consume protein-rich foods after any strenuous physical activity. I leaned on my knees, breathing heavily. I tried to get the gadget off my wrist again, but no dice. I returned home and took a knife out, carelessly trying to slice through it. It was as if the object was made from otherworldly material, because in the end my knife was left dull from the sawing. Alright, no big deal. I'll just figure it out when I get back from work. It was time for me to go, so I didn't even have time to take a shower before work. I went to the office, finished my shift, came back home, exhausted. I ordered some pizza and tried out various tools and removing the gadget from my wrist. None of them worked, even the electrically powered ones. I was left in the end with bloody wounds on my forearm. I tried uninstalling the DreamBody app from my phone, but I got an error every time. I was so desperate in the end that I formatted my entire phone. Everything was gone, but the app was still there. My pizza arrived, so I decided to take a break and eat dinner. As I sat down and took 2 bites of my pizza, a notification popped on my phone. Warning, you are about to exceed your daily caloric intake. Oh, come the fuck on, I scowled. Starving, I decided to ignore the message and continue eating. I mean, if the app was about to shock me, I could tough it out and eat some more, right? I took a bite, and you can guess what happened next. The shock was so strong, this time that I fell to the floor and writhed in pain for a whole minute. My vision became blurry. I threw the entire pizza away and spent the rest of the night starving. The following morning, I was woken up by the vibration on my wrist. I jumped out of bed immediately, heart racing. The message on my phone said, "The device detects sedentary lifestyle. Based on that, your training has been increased from 3 times a week to 5 times a week." Before I even had the chance to process that properly, the message changed again and said, "Begin your training. Next shock in 4 minutes, 58 seconds. I quickly put on my clothes and obeyed the device. The message now said, "You're 1 step closer to your goal. Time left, 25 minutes. Calories to burn, 300. Warning, not burning the recommended amount of calories for the allotted time will increase your training time." I finished the training session, exhausted, frustrated, and hungry as hell. It's been a week now, and I'm not sure how much more I can take. I tried cutting the tool off my wrist, but nothing could damage it, and the website I ordered DreamBody from is nowhere to be found anymore. The device has been forcing me to invest more and more time into fitness, and I'm unable to change its settings. It's been progressively increasing my cardio, cutting down my calories to 2 small meals a day, and I have to bike to and from work. The electrical shocks have been getting worse, too. I'm not sure if my heart will be able to survive this for much longer. If any of you see an ad for a fitness gadget called DreamBody, avoid it at all costs. As for me, on the table in front of me are a hatchet, a blowtorch, and a bottle of whiskey. When I'm done posting this, I'll get this damn device off my wrist, one way or another. This one is called, "I just started working the night shift at my university library. I found an envelope with rules that weren't in the employment manual." What the hell? I sat behind the security desk at my university library, holding an envelope that I assumed was meant for me. "To the new guy" was scrawled on the front in jagged script. And I suppose I was the recipient because it didn't get any more new than I was last night. I was scheduled to work my first nighttime shift, 12 to 4 a.m., at my university library. The hours didn't deter me at all. I'm a serial insomniac, and my class schedule was structured so I could stay up late and sleep in the next day. This luxury had the unfortunate side effect of limiting my employment options, and in order to stay somewhat afloat in the sea of student debt I was floundering in, I couldn't afford to remain unemployed. When I heard about the night shift at the library from my friend Valerie, who I attended high school with, it seemed like a perfect match. I can't reveal the specific school that I work for, but suffice to say it's a large university in the southern portion of the United States. Anyway, Val worked the early morning shift, 6 to 10, and she mentioned that the guy who worked the late night shift, some guy named Flanders, had quit a few days prior. When she told me the hours and confirmed that the pay was at least north of minimum wage, I jumped at the opportunity. After spending a week slogging through the 3 departments you have to send paperwork to in order to become an official university employee, my bank account was in desperate need of that first payday. So anyway, last night was my inaugural shift, and it being a Friday night, the library was expectedly dead at midnight when I relieved my new colleague, Tori, from her post. The employment manuals I was required to read had prepared me extensively for what was by all indications going to be a mundane 4 hours. I started at the security base, a big wooden desk the size of a tank underneath a huge glass window, embossed with our university sigil in the library atrium. Here, I would stay for the first 30 minutes of my shift and perform some clerical tasks like checking the book detectors and ensuring the patron counter worked correctly. After those first 30 minutes, I was supposed to make my rounds about the library, an inconceivable large building that, according to the employment manual, required about 2 miles of walking to complete a perimeter sweep of all 4 floors. When I settled into my chair behind the behemoth desk, I was exasperated to find the letter. Oh, great, I thought. More bullshit protocols to read. I tore open the envelope to find a sheet of yellow legal paper with numbered lines following a paragraph of writing in the same style as the print of the outside of the envelope. Dear new guy, do not throw away this list under any circumstances. This is your Bible, your map, and your survival guide all in one fucking succinct document. I didn't have to leave this shit for you, but my hope is that by leaving this behind, I'll help to curtail your learning curve a bit. Lord knows, it could be a steep one. Anyway, the rules listed in this document are not optional. They aren't suggestions and they aren't advice. They are a code that you must adhere to or some terrible shit can happen. You wouldn't understand without experiencing it for yourself, which is exactly what this letter is meant to avoid. So listen up. If you get through this first night, I'll leave more rules for you tomorrow. Number 1. Never look at the hallway safety mirrors in the basement corridor. Keep your eyes low and walk swiftly. Rule number 2. You will encounter an unfathomably tall man in a gray suit. Do not look at his face. Answer any question he asks you with "No, sir," and he will go away. Rule number 3. Stay out of the atrium from 2:15 to 2:16 every night. It's better if you don't see it. Rule number 4. You will hear some horrible fucking sounds from the study room 219J on occasion. Don't ever open the door. Rule number 5. Always walk beside the bookshelves in the west portion of the 4th floor, never between them. Rule number 6. If you hear tapping come from the glass window behind you at the security desk, do not turn around. Rule number 7. At 12:15, you'll see a heavy man in a tweed suit hurry past you clutching his briefcase. When you see him walk past you, tell him, "Today is not the day, friend." He'll look relieved, nod, and walk out of the library. If he gets up the stairs, you're already too late. I was so caught up in reading the letter that I'd forgotten to check the student ID of the person who had just rushed by the security desk. I remember the protocol with a jolt and looked up to call out the offending student, just in time to watch a man, clad in a tweed suit, clear the stairs and slip up out of sight onto the library floor.